All right, fellers. We're talking about this movie.
I just said Doob instead of Dune. Doob. Have you seen the new movie Doob?
Hey,
Doobie. It's doob doobie doobie doobie. Scooby doobie.
Scooby Dooby Doob.
Scooby doobie ba doobie.
Scooby Doob.
Cameron, did you watch the Thumb movies with us?
Oh my gosh. Bat Thumb?
Did you miss those? Yeah, did you watch Bat Thumb and all those Thumb
Yeah.
movies, Cameron? Okay, I was just curious if you missed that.
You're what?
Dude, that is a movie that we should review, or the Thumb movies.
Yeah,
We just do all the Thumb movies.
Oh,
It's our Thumb, or Thumb.
You're what?
Thumb Wars, and Bat Thumb. All right.
Holy goat nipples, Bat Thumb.
I am your mother.
Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. We need sand power, desert power. I botched the quote. Dang it, I'm an idiot. Gosh, I can't host a podcast. And we've got Jordan Christensen on the pod. Spice. And we've got Cameron Mickle.
Smile, Gurney. I am smiling.
That's right. I forgot that line. And we've got Grant Mickle on the pod.
Fear is the mind killer.
Fear is the mind killer.
Atreides.
What's in the box?
Atreides.
Atreides.
They say it like
Atreides.
8 times. I'm like, okay, that's a little overkill.
Okay, don't talk about overkill, mister. I love the bagpipes.
Yes. Don't talk about it. I have to rant on that.
Yeah, and that's going to be my nitpick.
It's like we are 100,000 years into the future and we still have these
Heck yeah.
dusty
Bag
old
of
ass
pipes.
Superior
pipe,
musical talent.
Like, we have floating lanterns and we still have this effing instrument.
Heck yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Oh,
It's
Might as well have
It's
fire
survival
hydrants
of
on the side, too.
Survival of the fittest in the instrument, the musical world.
In the instrument.
Guys, this movie, we're talking about Dune.
Hey, if I had an army, I would have bagpipe people in the front.
Heck yeah, dude.
Dude, I would
So
get
they
the
could
guy
get murdered
from
first. With the
kill those annoying people. Stop the terrible music. Kill the people on the front line. Oh my gosh. I was thinking, it was so funny is, okay, so real quick, let's get into the movie. We are discussing
You remember the
Dune.
bagpipe ties from Army of Darkness? Remember they're playing the bagpipes? In Army of Darkness in the war, remember all the skeletons are
The little
playing?
skeletons.
Speaking of
all
Army
prop
of Darkness,
skeletons.
dude, his fetching cameo in Spider-Man 2. You can't be seated and it's already started.
Sir, yeah, your shoe's untied. Can I help you? He like makes him adjust his tie and tie his shoelace, and he still doesn't let him in.
All right, sorry, what were you saying?
What was I saying? I was saying we're reviewing the movie Dune. It happened,
And
guys.
it's
This movie
Dune,
finally
not
got released.
Doom. Not with the O-O-M, with the D-U-N-E.
Yep, I heard Dune as well.
I thought we were reviewing the video game Doom. Okay. Never mind.
Dune. Yeah. Dune.
Not the one with the rock.
The movie Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve. This movie just came out 2021. It's in theaters. I just saw
And
it.
apparently today, part 2
days
got
ago.
confirmed.
Good.
Was it ever not going to happen?
If
Like,
it
I
didn't
guess
do well
if
in the box
people
office.
had a visceral reaction, but didn't they already have most of it filmed? I don't know. What do they do?
I mean,
these days?
if
Probably
it was
not.
a Tenet like box office, I'm sure they probably wouldn't have done part 2.
Very cool. Very cool. I will just say, what was that?
That was the sand monster.
That was the worm eating everything in its path, dude. The sandworm. Guys, I gotta say, okay, we're talking about Dune. I've got some great jokes lined up for this podcast and reactions. So, but yeah, don't worry, they're all dad-based humor. So
sure.
it's just brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. It's the best of the best. We're bringing their best, sir. We are the best of the best of the best, sir. So, this movie stars Timothée Chalamet. It stars Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac.
I'm sure it's not Chalamet that we always say
Javier
wrong.
Bardem. What?
I always call him Timothée Chalamet. I don't know why.
Timothy.
It sounds better.
Charmelaise.
Charmalet.
It's got Stellan Skarsgård. It's got Stephen McKinley. Did I mention Josh Brolin already? I mentioned Harvey Bardem. It's got Sharon Duncan.
I am smiling.
Or no, Sharon Duncan. What's her last name? Duncan hyphenated. It's got Chang Chen, Dave Bautista. Can't forget Dave Bautista
yeah, they would have stud.
from the most critically acclaimed Army of the Dead, you know? Or wait, was it called Army of the Dead? Day of the Dead? What was the movie, the zombie
Oh.
heist movie?
Yeah.
Army-
the best
Army
movie.
Dead.
Yeah, the most unforgettable movie. Sharon Duncan Brewster and a few others.
He was better as
Guys, let's get into this movie. What was it like watching it for the first time, and has anyone seen it twice? It's in the theater right now.
I wanted to.
Okay.
I'm going to see it this weekend
So-
again.
I gotta say, this movie, I had so many expectations for it, and somehow it met them. I love this movie. It was a lot of fun.
That build
Against
up,
all odds.
and
Yeah.
it met them.
And it met them, so I'm very happy. I'm very happy that movies like this get greenlit still in the hands of a skillful director like Denis Villeneuve. What an impressive scope of this movie. Holy cow. Just feels big, and I like it.
And the biggest
So,
plot twist of all time of having Hans Zimmer just appear on the screen when I was like, wait, he did the music? What?
I know. That's what I thought. I'm like, that was Hans?
Yeah.
Wait, who?
No.
Betrayals, Hans. Sorry.
The music in
Can't
this
say his
movie
name
was
without
Hans
saying that
Zimmer.
blind.
No, I
The
know.
composer, was Hans
Then
Zimmer.
what are you confused about, Grant?
Yeah.
Who?
Oh, when his name.
Who's Zimmer, man?
Hans Zimmer. You know, like
No.
the music
Happy
guy?
Trails,
I
Hans.
thought you were saying he made a cameo in the movie. I was like, what?
You didn't miss him, Grant?
He's
He's the floating
lurking about
demon
underneath
guy.
the sand, Grant. That's who he was. You
I
probably
was
didn't
like,
notice him.
He was the guy
He opened up.
he fights him
He had
at
the one with the
end.
big gaping mouth. Yeah, he was the one with the big gaping mouth, Grant. That's the one.
Oh, okay.
Just he was just green screened like what's his name? Sherlock Holmes
Skarsgård?
actor? No, what's his name? Benedict
I thought you were referring to
Cumberbatch.
Stiller. I thought you were referring to the villain, dude. He was so scary. Stellan
was
Skarsgård was
scary.
so terrifying, dude.
Gosh,
Just
dude.
like this big fat. It looked like Gru, but
was-
like a
he-
giant
no, dude,
lumbering
he was
Gru
like-
that could
he was
like
like-
rise up 15 feet above the ground.
He's like rated R Jabba the Hutt.
Rated R Jabba the Hutt. Okay, guys, what was it like for you guys? Jordan, why don't we go to you? You had a lot of expectations for this movie. We love Denis Villeneuve, so
Yeah, I am kind of obsessed with him. And yeah, it surprisingly held up. Like at first I was like, oh, this better be perfect. And like, 'cause I've just listened to
This better be perfect. Low
I've
it's like,
expectations.
if I don't like it, I can always go back and see what other people say about it and then reaffirm my emotions. Because it's like, if it sucked, we could all be like, oh, we could all collectively hate on this movie. But if it's good, we're like, oh, I can join the masses and be like, yes, this is good. Inject it straight into my eyeballs. So,
Like acid.
it felt almost like the story itself felt kind of old school. Like I was thinking of Star Wars and like all the other films that have kind of ripped off this film. Like it almost feels like not that it should have been made a long time ago, but the story itself is just kind of old. Like it feels like I love it.
like oil refinery, you know? Yeah. Like, doesn't belong in 2021. People don't know what that is, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's obviously futuristic, but it has, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it was it had essentially the basis of a sci-fi film that I'm like, I feel like all other sci-fi films have kind of pulled and taken parts of this. But like I said, it's weird to see it now because it's come after all those films. So I keep thinking, I have to keep telling myself, oh, this book has been out forever and other people have taken from it. Because it clearly has influenced so many other sci-fi films. Like I said, I don't know if you guys got a Star Wars vibe, but I totally did. Like that scene with the little gnat robot thing or whatever, little mosquito.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, are you referring to the poisonous
Attack
centipedes
of
that
the
were
Clones,
sent
yeah.
from a bounty hunter that was hired by a bounty hunter, Jango Fett?
Yes.
Holy, like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, George Lucas, did no one say, George Lucas, this is a bad idea? Did no one... I guess he was writing off of the original trilogy, and they're like, I guess we won't tell him how to make a
just
movie.
threw it in their face, threw it in Attack of the Clones' face, said, this is how you really do it.
This is how you do it. You get a bounty hunter to hire a bounty hunter who will hire 2 poisonous worms that may or may not kill your target.
Who will
because
send a pod, and the pod will release.
the pod will release.
Wait,
An assassin droid.
Convoluted assassination attempt when Jango Fett could have just like ridden his scooter bike up to the window and
just
shot
blown
Natalie
it.
Portman right through the head, just right through the window. Boop. Because freaking Jedi jumps out of the window, no problem. So I'm pretty sure you could have shot a bullet right through her head. I'm just saying. What do I know?
so could the
about
little
assassination
mosquito
attempts?
thing not see him? Is that why it was like...
I know.
think it was
I was
motion
confused
sensor.
about that as well. I'm assuming we couldn't, but it was funny when he was standing there and it like came right up to his eye, and I'm like, oh, and then he didn't move, and I'm like, oh, he's playing chicken. He's playing chicken. maybe he's talking to it or something. And maybe he was gonna use his commanding voice, like, no, don't get me. Anyway, I gotta say that commanding voice was really cool.
Yeah.
It made me think like how funny it would have been. Like at the beginning, the mom's like, use your commanding voice, and he's like, Mom, make me a sandwich, and she's like, no, and he's like, use the king voice. Mom, make me a sandwich. And then she'd be like, yes, dear. Anything for you. I try to use it on my wife. Doesn't work. I don't have the king voice, unfortunately. So,
And now you're sleeping
guys,
on the couch.
Yeah, no. It's like, stop yelling at me in that voice. It doesn't make me any. In fact, it's just annoying me. Cameron, how about you, man? What was it like watching it for the first time?
Yeah, similar to Jordan, like I love Denis, and so I had really high expectations, and I was scared.
Hello,
'cause
Denny.
I have.
It sounds like you said Denny from freaking The Room. I love Denny.
I love Denis.
I love you, Denny.
And so like I had very high expectations, and like Jordan said, like they were, and like you said, Ty, they were met, and I was very happy. Obviously, I think like makes me more excited for the part 2, and obviously because it's one of those stories where it's an incomplete story, whereas some movies like are like set up like another movie, but they still are a complete story, like Batman Begins. Like this was one that didn't finish. So that's why it just makes you that much like want to watch part 2 that much more.
I want to have some comments about that and talk to you guys more about that. I love what you said, Cameron, because I do have some thoughts about dropping a movie off at such an interesting point.
Well, and the
does
opening
feel very incomplete.
Because
when it said
just
part
finished
1,
Act 2, essentially.
Yeah, well, when the title popped up and it said part 1, I even sighed. I was like, oh no, like, does this mean they're gonna do 2 movies? But I wasn't sure because some movies, like, they say, you know, part 1, and then later, halfway through the film, then part 2 pops up.
Right.
But I was
Chapters
wondering,
would pop up,
though,
but-
usually it says, like, the name, title of a chapter, but instead it said the movie, then it said part 1. And so I was like, oh.
Must be 2 parts.
Yeah.
2-parter. The Titanic has not sunk yet, so you got to stick around for the good part.
Well, I'm so
All the
glad
people-
because I don't think...
all the poor people drowning.
I don't think he could have told the whole story. I mean, at least...
No.
Yeah, because...
No, I mean, you'd have to leave out a lot.
To
and
understand, I
don't know what I would take out. Yeah.
every
I mean, there's probably a
backstory, see ya, gone.
Yeah, because that's what Elise, she
character
saw
motivations, relationships to each other. Yeah.
Elise
Just
saw
do it
the
with
old
that.
movie from like 1940s or whatever, 80 something. But then like
40s?
apparently-
Sorry, excuse me?
You're like old, okay?
Whenever the prohibition and bootlegging was happening.
It was a silent film. Black
Well,
and white.
she said that like
40s.
that movie fit in so much that they like some parts that were like 30 minutes of a backstory was like 2 minutes in the movie.
It turned into Avatar: The Last Airbender, the film.
What were we saying, Grant? Yeah, keep going. What were we saying, Grant?
Oh.
At least read saw the old movie.
Aware that
All
we're
I know is
doing
that
a
has the
podcast?
guy from Twin Peaks. That's all I know.
I know. I
from that.
started the old movie.
The villain from Fred the Flintstone, yeah. And I didn't want to watch it because I just wanted to be surprised by
Yes,
this book.
that's the reason I didn't want to
Or
finish
this
it.
movie. Yeah, I will read the book now having seen the movie, but I didn't want to like go in with the Harry Potter thing where I'm like, oh, they left these details out of it.
Well, so I've heard, because I talked to
Not on my
somebody
watch.
at work, Ty, and they said that it's like crazy accurate. And then the only difference they said is that one guy that says, I am smiling, you know, Thanos.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Thanos.
Yeah.
I am inevitable.
He as a character, he would sing in the book to the other guy. Like that guy that says smile, he kind of brings out this more like kind of dry humor side of him. And so he would sing to him. And so they cut that from it. Because I don't know if Josh Brolin can't sing or if they just don't have enough time. But then they cut little parts also out of it, like just details about the, you know, the creepy dude without the eyebrows, the right-hand man to the
Dude, the
chubby-
polka dot man.
Yeah, the polka dot man.
I am a superhero.
I'm a laughing super.
Yeah, so he apparently has more backstory in the book, but they didn't really have enough time to cover all that.
So many people, so many.
I know.
Yeah. But it is very interesting because, well, so Grant, did you finish and Cameron, you went? So we all shared what was like.
No, Cameron didn't go.
No, Cameron. I'm sorry.
I just made a
That's right.
comment.
Oh, you didn't go? Go.
Then go,
Finish
Grant.
saying your thought,
Well, you
Grant. You're
didn't
taking forever.
say.
Gosh,
Anyways,
well,
yeah.
speak up, child. You're like, I can't go.
Well, I was waiting for the host, okay? Yeah, so I actually went in not knowing anything about the movie. I actually thought that it was like the whole thing was not hallucination, but like
Wait, you thought
Wait,
Dune
so-
was
no,
actually
no, no, no,
be
no,
a
no.
I thought it
dream
was
in
Inception.
some
It was
all a
kid's
dream.
mind? You thought this whole dream was going to be like a teardrop in a turtle's eye or something like that in the cosmos?
Because in the
We're all
trailer,
going to be living inside a marble.
Well, no. The first trailer that I saw was put your hand inside the box, and he's like, "What's inside?" Pain. He puts his hand in, then it shows all the
And then
and
the
then
whole
it shows
movie
all
is
the
a
desert
dream?
stuff. And so I thought it's like a teleportation
At the
So,
end
like,
of part
no,
two,
simulation. That's
it
the word I'm
cuts
looking
back.
for.
At the end of the whole
Yes, and then he,
part
like,
two,
pulls his hand
it
out.
ends and he pulls his hand out of the box. It was all a vision from the stupid shawl.
Well, I thought it would be
lady's
like a
box.
simulation or something, and then he
I
had
would
to like pass
protest
a
and
test.
ask for my money back if that happened.
Well, that was
Well,
basically
I
the
would
Green
riot
Knight,
at the
Grant.
theater.
Well, that's
Yeah, you fucking kidding me?
that's why I enjoyed it way more, because that's why I had zero idea what the movie was going to
Grant,
be
Grant
about.
thinks the entire book of Dune, all this series, take place in some kid's dream.
No, Grant just thinks that A24 is gonna follow that same terrible outline and idea of freaking the Green Knight. Gosh.
The old woman in the background watching.
Hey, Ty, I just bought it, so now you can watch it and know what we're talking
I
about.
will watch it because I will. I'm ready to watch it. I want to know if. Oh man, I was gonna say I was gonna watch it with you guys because I don't want to watch it alone.
I can't
I'm
wait
scared.
for you to see.
I'm very
that
tepid.
Can't watch that
the-
ever
the
again.
man kissing scene. Is the best thing ever.
No, just it was amazing watching it with Cameron laughing.
See, Drew like almost refuses to watch movies with me now because he's like, you ruined my experience because he watched a lot of video essays about how it's like super beautiful or whatever. I'm like, that ish was garbage. There's no way you can explain that it wasn't to me. And he's like, well, you kind of ruined the movie because maybe we would have been able to understand it better if you weren't laughing. I was like, no, we would have understood it and been more uncomfortable.
No.
Like, I'm sorry, I laughed.
If you
at when
would just,
the grandma was in
if
the
you would
corner.
just deny your natural impulses to laugh right now, Cameron, and stop having a genuine human experience, maybe we could have interpreted the film correctly.
Yeah.
Like, what's stupid? Your
Yeah.
friend Drew's never coming back on the pod. All right, Cameron, what was it like watching Dune?
I already said what it was like.
Oh, you did. So I
Yeah.
thought you were still talking about the Green Knight. I'm sorry. So it's the same experience. Is that what I understand? Got it.
Very different.
So,
I didn't
guys, let's get
laugh.
into two.
I think I had one or two times I laughed in this movie, but they weren't unintentional. Where it was like, I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, this was not a Venom situation on our
Yeah,
hands.
was anybody else gripping their seats? Oh my gosh, when that worm was getting closer, I was like, ah!
Dude, yeah,
It
the
was
first
great.
time that they ever show him like the planter thing and they just have the malfunction, I'm like, everyone's way too nonchalant about that mother effer who's 700 feet long.
I know.
Just
Everyone's
worm.
like, oh, it's fine. We take care of this all the time. There's only like 37 meters. Like, yeah, it's still a few kilometers out. And they're like, okay, it's getting closer. Everybody can bandage shit. I'm like, of course it didn't go right. Because, of course, no, and it was the moment when the freaking latch doesn't come down. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
my gosh, of course.
Yes.
Like, but I liked it because, again, it establishes the threat and desert power.
And how screwed they are
Desert
also. Of like how they set him up for failure. It's like
I love that.
like this machinery is not even fetching working, so good luck.
And
in
what
your
was
race.
that? So
Bunch of
they
rusty
stepped
buckets.
in the ground was harder. Was there something underneath the sand? Because all of a sudden it was like boom, and it like sent out a wave. And so they're like run, and then they started running across it because they were doing that weird like walking thing.
Yeah.
But remember,
I think they
like,
stepped
took a
on.
step.
Yeah. He's
Sandwalking. I remember that. Okay, but real quick. What were you asking? Are you
no, he
asking
stepped,
why
he
they fell
stepped
through
and he
the
hit
sand?
hard, and he's like, run. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
because
it's
did he
'cause
step
hit-
on a rock or something?
I
Because
think
like,
he hit a hard surface, so it would probably send vibrations to where it'd
oh,
be like,
okay.
the worm would be like,
Because remember, there's at a certain point.
Like a prairie dog.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right though, because they were like, oh, just sprint, just run because it's too late now or whatever. But let's get into two of our favorite things from this movie. Why don't you start us off with Grant?
Yes. Well, I know a lot of you are gonna take other stuff, so I'll just do unique
Grant's like,
ones
the
to
Hans
me.
Zimmer cameo was so brilliant.
never saw it coming.
Who knew?
Well, okay. I love the music in this movie. It
Which
is-
music in particular, Grant?
Yeah. Who
All the
composed the
Any
music?
scenes in particular?
Yes.
Who composed the music of this movie though, Grant?
This great
Yeah,
actor,
cameo, you know?
Hans
Yeah.
Zimmer.
He's a good actor too.
Grant's like, I love this music and I don't know why or who makes it, but man, let's hope they keep getting work. If he just sticks with it, maybe it'll really pay off for him, you know?
He's got a bright future in front of him.
Got a good future, yeah, if he just sticks with it.
Yeah, I don't know why like bagpipes just like strike a chord with me. I guess
Don't
like
say it's the Scottish blood in
The
you.
Scottish
it has
blood in
nothing to do with that.
Grant, did you do Ancestry or 23andMe and you found out you have
No, I
like
just from
2%
grandma.
Scottish or
She
something?
always like she says that her ancestors come from Scotland or whatever. So,
Well, Grandma's a
so I
liar.
claim it. So I claim it. So
So I claim it.
that's
my
why
lived
I don't know.
experience.
I love the sound of bagpipes, and so when they started playing, I was like, "This is so awesome."
Grant's like, are they going to have bagpipes in the movie again? Are they going to be featured again? Because this is the only bagpipe scene.
I mean, I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I love, and just the rest of the music.
Grant, you're gonna go see Dune again, right?
Yeah.
You should wear a kilt.
Just be like, represent.
Is it kilt or kilt? I thought
think
it was
it's
kilt.
sorry.
I swear it's
No,
kilt.
it's kilt.
I understood what you meant. I was just making sure. You're like, I was like, is that the Scottish way of saying kilt?
And then you should quote Trainspotting.
Kilt.
It's crap being Scottish.
Yeah, it's crap, being Scottish. Oh my gosh, what was that? Was that Trainspotting? No, what was that? I just watched that. What was that?
Trainspotting, yeah.
He said,
It was Trainspotting.
Jordan said, like in Train Spotting, and you're like, what's that from? Is that Train
Oh,
Spotting?
so yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, it's yeah. Of course, did Jordan make Grant and Cameron? Did he make you watch that movie, Trainspotting?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
Cameron wasn't there, but I'm excited to watch it again.
That's the drug addict one, right?
Yeah.
It has Ewan
Don't.
McGregor, right?
Next, he's gonna force you to watch the
Clockwork.
stupid movie. Don't ever make him let you watch Clockwork, and never let him watch Requiem for a Dream. Two of the least rewatchable movies of all time.
Oh, I've seen him so many times.
Guys, you know I'm a garbage disposal. I didn't even finish the Clockwork Orange, dude.
So good.
I refused to.
Okay,
watch
I couldn't
it.
get through it the first time either, but then it got better the second time.
But
and third time.
then I lowered my morals and my standards, and now I can just about
embrace
get
the
enough
film.
sleep at night.
So I turned into that little creature.
I can almost face myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
I
Yum,
turned
trash.
into that creature from.
Yum, trash.
Yeah, I love
Yum.
trash.
I love
Trash.
Yum trash. Yum trash.
You used to be a doctor.
Oh my gosh, Grant! Did we interrupt you? You loved the music and the bagpipes. Was that it? Is there anything else you
No.
wanted to add?
Then I think
Besides the
I
Hans
loved-
Zimmer cameo. Sorry, continue.
I loved Paul's performance was so good. Like I love him in The King. He just does such a good job. Like I love
Are you
how
talking about Timothée Chalamet? Yeah, his name is Paul, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So I love how well he just acts so well, like taking on a character who does not want the mantle of some kind of leadership role, but then just like
Yeah,
but through his experiences, he's like set up to be the
Put in that
perfect
it
role.
definitely
Yeah,
is looking like he's going to
they-
be typecasted for the rest of his life as being the heir to the throne,
Right.
the unwanting heir to the throne. 'cause he
He's
does
gonna
it
be Daniel
he does it so
Radcliffe, yeah,
well.
until he-
he does
yeah,
it
he
so
can no
well
longer
that
be
everyone's like,
Daniel.
"Hey, you want? I have this great role for you," and he's just like, "Oh, again."
Right. So I think those are probably my two favorite.
Solid.
It's a wee bit feminine, that laddie, Timothée Chalamet. French boy. Jordan, two of your favorite things.
So I'm kind of a mama's boy. So obviously the relationship between him and his mom, I was like, so touching.
Wait. Would you
cry,
say
though?
that's a touching relationship? The fact that he's gay, the mother set his son up with this shaman lady that literally held a pin to his neck and said, if you remove your hand from this box, even though you're in excruciating pain, you will die.
And he came out the
Tough
other
love.
side
That
a fetching
loving
monster.
mother-son relationship? Is that the relationship you're
I'm
referring
talking
to?
about the
I
time where
relate
they're
so
in the
much.
tent under the sand and just like,
And then he yells at his mom and is like, get away from me! Is that a loving relationship? I get it, Jordan. I get what you're saying. No, I don't get what you're
I
saying.
just get
What are you
the
saying?
fact that they are spending so much time
fact that she
together.
is a mother.
Like, yeah.
The fact that there is a mother and a son.
Jordan was touched and
The fact that there are
probably
still
cried.
families 100,000 years into the future. They
Well,
haven't
because
dismantled
she,
families yet.
but it's what you see her, not necessarily how they communicate with one another, but like behind the scenes, what she does and how she stands up for him with this, they call the sisterhood, that lady. She's like, remember, she's like,
Shaman.
the lady's like, you shouldn't have been teaching him our ways, and it would have been smarter to have a woman child. Like, I burst out laughing at that part. That was hilarious.
And see,
A woman child.
Shut up.
Jordan, I think that's interesting because I took that as like she's only defending it because it was kind of like it's like her baby, like literally because it's like she was the one that was like, hey, we can like train this child into becoming the one. I thought that was why she was defending, because she was defending her own decision. But like the fact that you're taking it as like this true mother love, I that's a different interpretation, but I like it.
Yeah, maybe I just have a thing for mom. So,
I don't care if she's abusive. It's fine. It's okay.
She's a mom. I
I
still
can
love
look
her.
past it. I still love her mom.
And then
Great.
the other part is I love the atmosphere that Denny creates, and like most of his movies, but this one in particular, every time they go to like the villains place, like all those guys, all those like people that were captured and flipped upside down and draining up their blood. Are you kidding me? And then they were like taking the blood and like putting a little thing on everybody's forehead.
marking them
like,
all, yeah.
oh man, that just gave me chills. I'm like, oh, this like whole universe is like so fun. I just want to spend more time in it.
I think you're using the wrong adjectives. I think there's a disconnect. You're like, the fact that all
Draining
these
blood
men are
is
being
so
crucified and getting their blood drained, like, what a fun time. What a great weekend this was. Dune seems like a place I'd like to visit.
Oh no! This is a universe I would never want to live in.
Did it
but you
remind
said fun.
anyone of the wall of Morty's where they're all being stabbed in the sides or whatever?
Yes.
That's what I
thought that
instantly.
same thing.
When they're upside
Yes, I
down,
thought
just drinking
that.
the blood. I'm like, Morty?
Instantly, and then put in the blood. You know.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I remember the shaman lady from the Dexter TV series. She was the Dr. Evelyn Vogel that was always trying to figure out Dexter. That's where I remember her from. But I don't know if you guys watched Dexter. I know you did, Jordan. But she was shawled the whole time, so I almost didn't even see her face. I mean, I don't think they
interesting.
ever-
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's a great actress. Very powerful actress. So yeah, I think that's great you mentioned that. Cameron, how about you? 2 of your favorite things from this movie?
Man, I think for me, the most impressive thing and one of the biggest reasons why I really enjoyed it is I think they did such a good job of like show not tell, and also like giving that background of characters and giving like instances to show like a character's like character very well. Like because there's a lot of scenes where like you grew to love what's called Jason Momoa so quick, Duncan. Like you just have very little interactions with him. You don't know his backstory. You have like just a couple moments where you just see and you get to know his character really quick through his interactions with Paul. And I just loved that. And I also loved it because you saw Oscar Isaac's character, Duke Leto. I just think they did such a good job of showing his relationship and kind of the dynamic with, like, I love that he's like, when he's like, I should have married you. Like, it's little things like that where it's kind of like.
Did he say that? Or my wife turned to me and she's like, did she say I shouldn't have?
No, he said I should
No,
have.
because
should
if
have.
you hear later, I thought he
took
said
her
I
as-
shouldn't
yeah,
have, but if you hear
Right.
later, he says, you and your concubine.
Concubine,
So,
yeah.
so when he says you and
He
your
never
concubine,
married
I was
her.
like, he said I shouldn't have, or I should have married you, because he felt bad because he's like, you gave birth to me with his child, but then I never like took the chance. So that for me, like it's lines like that just give so much more context with just something super simple like that I thought was super beautiful. And I love like Josh Brolin's character. Like I just love how ruthless he is, and you like because you're kind of like, oh, he's just a, but then you like see because he's like they're not human. Like the people you're going to fight on the battlefield. Because like you see that PTSD in him, and he's like, I fought them. They're not human. They're not gonna have mercy like I have.
Did
on you."
anyone get super general? I got super Avatar vibes when I thought of the general with the 3 scratches across his face. What's his name?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
He's always like, everything that squawks, crawls, and flies in the mud will tear your throat out and eat your eyes for jujubes. That's what it made me think of. What was his name? He was the best. But anyway,
I don't remember,
anyway,
but
keep
yeah,
going.
and so I just love that because like you just see, because then you see his backstory. Like, no, he's a war veteran, and that's why he's a great fighter, and that's why he's trying to train Paul because Paul like he has all this knowledge but no experience, and so that's why he's like as soon as you get out there, it's kind of like I always feel like missionaries going out into like the MTC, the ones who are in there in the last week, and they're like, oh no, like I know all the tricks. And then you talk to an RM, and he's like, you know nothing. When you get out there, everything you know is out the window. And so I just felt like that was kind of his talk to him. He was like, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And so I thought that's kind of what set him up and prepared him for that final fight. And then my second favorite thing, I was just very impressed at how like drawn in and kind of going back to like how invested I was into certain characters. Like, spoiler, I was so sad when Jason Momoa dies. When Duncan dies, I was like, devastated. I was like, no. And even though you saw it in the beginning, like he sees the vision, he says, I saw you die. And then he comes back from that first excursion and you're like, oh, he's alive. Okay, so maybe his vision helped save his life. But then you see that exact same scene that he saw and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like fulfilling the prophecy.
Is that his gift? Can he see in the future? Is that what we're kind of to believe?
That's what I'm assuming.
I don't know because
I thought that was just the sand spice that was giving him visions.
yeah, because
okay, that's what I
he
wondered
saw
too.
himself die to the guy he duels at the end, but then
Yeah, and I wondered about that too.
No,
yeah.
but remember if you heard what
But
the
it was
witches
kill or
said.
be killed, right?
No, the witches or whatever they are. I call them
voices
witches
that he
because
heard.
they seem like witches. But no, she said when you take a life, you lose part of yourself. So I thought that was showing like
Him killing, he dies, like a part of himself
Right.
dies.
And it was really sweet too because he had never killed anyone before that time.
leave a Horcrux behind.
Yeah. Because honestly,
Yeah.
I saw a lot,
Brilliant.
and that's kind of what I like too. I just saw a lot of like Christ-like symbolism.
Yeah. Okay,
him.
Ty, did you get the feeling like when the girl was walking and she had that white robe and she had her kind of
Jordan
hands
thought it was a
out?
Mormon message.
I totally thought that was Christ. Like from behind because you don't see her face and you just see her long hair and a white robe and on
Jordan
in the
was just
desert.
waiting for the comeuntoChrist.org to come out on the screen.
Yeah. I was just really glad that Zendaya didn't open her mouth and ruin it with like some snarky comment or anything like that, you know? So, not that I don't like her as Mary Jane, but I don't feel like she's doing that much. I think she's kind of overrated.
I think she's super
personally.
overrated. I think she's one of the most overrated actresses of all time.
Well,
I love the idea that like it's like, oh, she's brilliant. And I'm like, she was like, I don't see any.
yeah,
chemistry
she's like
between her and Tom
monotone and she's
Holland.
like, man.
She reminds me of like trying to do an impression of Aubrey Plaza, you know, from
From Parks and Rec.
From Parks and Rec. That's kind of what I get. Like she's like sarcastic all the time and self-depreciating, but also more demoralizing to Peter Parker. Like, what does Tom Holland see in her? Like, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like, like they don't have obvious chemistry. Is my point. Like, if she was like secretly, I do like you. And that's like the reveal, but it's like you did nothing to lead us on to make you think you liked him. But it's like that's something like a third grader or something does. You know, you throw boogers in each other's hair because you're like, oh, I actually like them. I get that, but like this is high school. Just mortal enemy. I don't know. Like despise everything he does and then bait and switch. Hey, I love you. It's kind of like the reverse of the third season of Stranger Things. You know, it's like I just love this person so much and I'm gay.
Perfect chemistry.
The person
I like
was jealous
women.
of was you because I actually like the girl you were dating. It's like, oh, got it. Thanks for making that as vague as possible so we could have
The biggest curveball in history.
sexual preference reveal that was completely out of nowhere.
And have an amazing chemistry and
Yeah,
relationship.
the best chemistry.
Yep.
That would have been best.
And
That,
again,
that would have
they
been the
could-
best
they could
relationship
continue.
in Stranger Things. That would have been better than fetching Elle and what's his name?
Ellen Light?
Do you ever get the feeling that Stranger Things is
What?
like
We're talking about Stranger Things.
Oh,
Death Note.
you said L.
Yeah, 11.
11?
Oh, because there was that scene in Death Note where he's like washing his feet, you know? That's kind of like,
Jordan's waiting
this
for
is
the
very
kissing
weird.
scene. He's like, are they gonna kiss now or like what's happening?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Love it.
I mean, back in the day, like that made sense, but doing it now, like, is just like weird.
So I will get into two of my favorite things from this movie to bring it back on track. Dune, we're still talking about this movie, right? All right. So I absolutely love the visuals. I think this movie is so stylistically cool. The props, the
Those
designs,
costumes,
the
are you kidding
animation,
me?
the costumes
So
are really cool. Like I'm like that was way cooler than anything from Squid Games. You know, like I'm like I would go as Timothée Chalamet. Like I want to carry a knife, hold it up over my head. Like there's so many iconic symbols and moments in this
and
movie
I think that's
that I really
really hard to
appreciated.
do, especially with like Star Wars, like all these other sci-fi things. It's like it's hard to distinguish yourself really well and make it like, you know, enjoyably stand out compared to other things.
Well,
Yeah.
and that lady's cool train, like blowing in the wind, like that was so awesome. My wife turned to me and she's just like, I love her train.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife turned to me when Oscar Isaac was being nice to Timothée Chalamet, and she's like, wow, he's like a really nice father. You don't see that much in movies these days. I'm like, oh, that's because he's going to die. That's when I knew that he was going to die. My wife literally is like, wow, he's being really nice to his son. And I was like, yeah, you're right. He is being nice. Oh my gosh, he's going to die.
I thought that exact
that's
same
always-
thing.
that's
I'm
how it
like,
happens.
it's so refreshing to see a good father figure in film.
Good father. And then he has to die because he's a good father figure.
But going
it
out
just
with
means
a
so much more when he
bang,
goes.
dude.
Yeah, go out with a bang. Go out with a crunch, more like it.
Yeah. And then he's
Bite
got that
down on that
stanky
cyanide
breath.
tooth, that poison. Yeah, he just murdered everyone else in there.
His
The
unbrushed
funniest
teeth
part though
for
was
I
when the
had
guy
10,000
was in the
years.
corner
I
just
need chili. Yeah, hiding in the freaking Stellar Skarsgård, hiding in the corner of the roof. Like, hey, breathing up in the corner. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Dude, so I love that because see, it didn't explain like scientifically, like it's just like okay, I guess he got far enough away from it, hiding up in the corner. Maybe the dust fell. I don't know. Like I
He
liked
had the
it
little
though.
shield thing.
If I were to guess, I thought there was a vent. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, maybe you're sucking on the vent. Yeah, I love it.
that's why,
trying to
I
get some
thought he
fresh
was like
air.
that because I was like, oh, homie's really just like.
That's how I feel when we do a podcast together and in person. You guys are all farting up a storm. I'm just like, I'm that guy, Stellar Skarsgård, breathing into the freaking vent. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dying here. So yeah, I love the set design. And then I would just argue that I love that none of the actors in this movie annoyed me. Everyone was doing a great job. Big cast. I mean, Javier Bardem.
Stacked.
I'm just really glad it wasn't Benicio del Toro and Javier Bardem's role because maybe he would have been like, I'm going to go with a stutter. And then I've been like, no, maybe you shouldn't do a stutter. And then you get Last Jedi or whatever. For some reason, this this character. Yeah, I just feel like if I'm going to be in a Star Wars film, I think I'm going to try to invent a stutter for myself. My goodness, guys, I had the thought. My Benicio del Toro, he was the guy in.
Snoke.
No, he was the one who stole remember
he stole the
parts and got the and like he betrayed.
He was on the
them
casino planet. He was the prisoner, and then he double crossed them at the end.
Yeah.
And he had a stutter, and it was really cringeworthy.
Yeah, it was weird. It kept throwing me off. I'm like,
cringe was up to 11, dude. Like usually they go to 10, but this one was at 11. Final Tap reference. Anyway, I loved that every character in this movie and every actor in this movie was like really doing a really good job, and
especially Zendaya with her little lines.
Yeah, I was kind of glad that she didn't have such a big role because I'm like,
okay. In his dreams of her stabbing him, are we supposed to? Why did he join them if she's gonna kill him?
I think that's gonna be the misunderstanding in the next movie that we'll understand, right?
The misunderstanding that we'll understand.
Yeah, because in every relationship, there's going to be a moment where it's like Avatar, right? Where, oh my gosh, Jake Sully, you came here just to colonize and mine minerals from the unobtainium, right? Like literally Pocahontas and Avatar vibes from this movie. But again, I mean, it makes sense because all sci-fi has to do with being human, and what is less human than like colonizing someone's planet?
Oh, did you think of Turbo Kid, Ty, too? The spitting in the thing, like taking parts of people's bodies.
I wrote this down. Yes, I wrote this down about. Yeah, again, I even love the customs, right? The guy walks into the table and Javier Bardem just spits on the table, and then they're like, oh, okay, and they're like ready to fight, and then he's like, oh no, thank you for giving us your precious like fluid or whatever, because spit is important in the desert because they live off of sweat and spit and these awesome suits that replenish their water as they lose like a thimbleful like in a day or something like that of water, so they can replenish. It's pretty gross though because it's still their sweat and their piss and their spit that's being recycled and put back into their body. Yummy. I'm just like, oh, it tastes like spit.
Ty's like,
I think they said that, right? Didn't they say, well, it's their sweat and their spit and everything else, right? And tears and whatnot. Yeah. It gets replenished and they get it, take it back in their body.
I never heard piss.
Cool science.
Piss right into the suit and it'll just go right in your mouth.
just take it. It purifies it. It purifies it. Like, Cameron, what did you think that little tube in their nose was, dude? It's just feeding. It's an IV and piss just running into their back of their throat. Just trickles in, dude. Just constantly trickling, dude.
I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah, so it's really iconic look. I love the whole oxygen tank, the cool suits, props, and the designs and characters.
I even like the little mouse thing, like eating its sweat just to stay alive.
And
that's so weird.
Showed that. Yeah, I thought that was his spirit animal. They kept showing the muskrat, and I'm like, there's some symbolic. Speaking of symbology, symbology. Yeah, we get study symbology right after herbology. What am I talking about? Symbolism. What is with the bowl and the horns, the Toro? I actually thought he was going to be like Toro with a red blanket and trick one of the worms, the sandworms, to go past him or something like that. There was none of that, but. Maybe at the end, the fact that they're riding the worms is kind of like
toying with danger,
Is that what it is? Is that all it is?
I don't know.
I thought he was gonna Toro, ole, like with one of those worms, and he was gonna ride right past him and eat the villain.
It would go right past him for like 8 minutes.
Yeah, he just like holds out the towel. Yeah.
The other thing I thought about was the guy that he stabbed taught him to go with the wind, or was that a different guy? Because the guy that, remember, so he stabbed the first person, the only person he's killed, right?
Yes.
And then he's in the rainstorm and it's like, you need to go with the wind. Was that not the same guy? He looked just like him.
Go with the wind?
Remember when he's there, he's flying the aircraft and this thing's just about to like rip to shreds?
I didn't get why he just like let go of the controls and this thing just falls for like 3 minutes. I didn't understand.
No, because he was fighting
he was falling and then they went on top. I didn't understand that.
The guy said because in the desert you're supposed to just like let nature kind of like pull you, and it threw him
threw him out.
Yeah, it kind of threw him where he needed to go because essentially he's fighting against it, and so that's why it was tearing
apart. And then he just let it take it.
Let it take him. But the guy that said that to him, because he's like,
I don't think
he gives him that advice. That's not the same guy.
I thought it was Javier Bardem's character that gave him that advice. Or one of the was it the doctor? No, who was it?
I'm pretty sure it was Javier Bardem, because I'm pretty sure it was when he came and he talked about like it's like the desert will tear you apart or whatever if you don't let it like take its course or something like that. He said something like that when he was there, and then that's why he remembered it, like that speech, and he was like,
oh man, I gotta watch it again. There's so many things in this.
Now that I've said my two favorite things, I want to have the biggest nitpick of all. So this desert power or whatever, like, is the idea that you can ride a sandworm with 2 grappling hooks. What happens if the worm goes under the surface of the sand?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's like if you've ever gone tubing or whatever, and you just like you just fall
Just
like
eat
half into
sand.
the water, and you're like,
Yeah.
just being waterboarded.
Dude, you get sandblast. You couldn't breathe. I'm
Hey,
just
they
saying.
had those
desert
little
power.
oxygen
How
things,
powerful
Ty.
is desert
Maybe they
power?
just wore those and then.
Good point. Come out
And then
looking
you come out, you're like, I
sandy
can't
as heck. Oh, I should have goggles.
Well, and yeah, how even if you did, maybe they can hide it under like a flap of that thing's skin because.
What's the end game though? Like, when do you get off of the worm? Do you just jump off of the side?
Yeah, what if
Like,
it
you
falls asleep
dismount? Like,
deep in the sand and you're just like,
you have to like claw your way out, or even just
no,
like,
but you got that little thing, remember, that digs you straight up? Remember they had that little weird thing?
yeah, the vibrator.
Because remember he dug, remember he's like, use this.
vibrator.
No, sound
Never
thing,
call it that.
whatever.
Never call it the vibrator.
Yes, please, in the name of all that is holy.
I don't know what.
This
For
movie,
everyone.
remember the vibrators in this movie?
the vibrator saved their life.
Life-saving vibrators. That's going on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What were you saying?
That's some world class of marketing right there.
No, he's not wrong though. That freaking needle, as it like hits the freaking shield that they have, it's like, it's like, no, you're like swat it away. Jason Momoa hits one away, and Oscar Isaac gets like on his back, and he's like, oh no, it's gonna kill me. It's like, step out of the way,
Dude,
do something.
I
Hit
thought
the
that
thing.
was
It's
super
like,
interesting because when I first saw it, I was like, "That's super dope. They can train." I'm like, does that make them invincible? But I guess it just like slows the blow down to like, I guess like super slow mo is kind of what I felt like.
Yeah.
And that's where my little nitpick is just, again, they're hitting each other with swords. I like the idea that they can't just shoot each other with lasers, but it's like you could still like hit them with the sword and then like drive it closer and closer. But there was a few moments where they're like just straight up hitting each other. I'm
I
like,
know.
well, that
I was
should
like,
have absorbed the blow.
I was a bit confused as the consistency. I don't know if he was like blowing just like so incredibly hard it was just going right through the shields.
It was just Jason Momoa is just so freaking yoked.
delivering blows so hard, man.
Gosh, it's all Grant's fault. The
Somebody's minded over here.
I know. No, I
Michael
was
Scott.
just joking though.
got Ty on the mine.
I am not the Jordan just said he's so I think he meant delivering blows, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. It just sounded
No,
funny
he was
to me,
not
like-
referring to freaking the.
I know. I don't think he was personally. I just sounded funny in my head. I don't know because we talked about earlier. Right?
Anyways.
Yeah, so get your mind out of the.
Out of the sand. I hate sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Yeah, that was my favorite line from this movie.
Yeah.
So I
I
really
didn't
like
watch the
Blue
movie,
Eyes
but
motif.
I heard that's a really famous line from this movie.
So I have so many questions. Again, I have not read the book. None of us here have.
No, Ty, it's literally, I talked to the girl at work. She said, this is literally.
Okay, yeah, right. There's no differences except
No,
two
no, no,
backstories
no,
I didn't
no,
go
no,
into. And the
Ty,
singing, I get
And
it.
she
Type,
she
because
said
literally
also
the same.
I mean, maybe dive a little bit into more, some of the details, but not.
Oh, okay.
Jordan,
So
all
I
he
thought it was really
stating was that
interesting.
none of us have read the book.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
silly
yeah.
kid.
Thanks, nerd.
Oh,
Okay,
wait,
yeah,
no,
please.
it's the exact
Wait.
same.
Wait.
You don't need to
Before you
read
shut me down.
books.
Wait.
I
Saying
love
we
the
don't need
commanding
books
voice.
anymore.
I love the commanding voice. I just thought it was so funny when it's just like, their whole. She's like, you didn't have your tone right, or you weren't earnest enough when they were in the airplane, and they outsmart those goons. I thought that was great.
I thought that was clever of her realizing the deaf kid.
Yeah,
But
she's like, hey, he's
but
deaf. I love the
but
sign language they do. That was super
It's so
dope.
dope. Like, be ready
Yeah.
for
Well,
violence.
Ty,
Be
did
ready
you get
for
like
violence,
a
I'm so
witch? I keep
intense.
calling them witches, but a witch vibe. Like these chicks like float around, or I guess that's just the fat guy. But
What part
fat
did you
guy?
see them floating?
The big fat guy reminded me of the villain from Big Hero 6. Like when he glides around on that black nanotechnology, he looks kind of like the villain in Big Hero 6. Watch that movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, the
But
villain,
yeah, he like glides around. He looks like Gru. He's like a big chubby guy at the top.
he's,
and then
he's got
like
the
a
body
skinny
structure
cape.
of Big Hero 6.
Yeah, he looks like Beta Max, Marshmallow Man, with like this tiny little hourglass cape that like allows him to ascend like 15 feet above the ground. I loved it. It was great.
yeah, but the girls like mind controlling like stuff, and I just thought, I don't know, for some reason got like
Yeah,
witch
I
vibes.
mean, yeah, it does have like elements of like, oh, hey, the voice. Like I thought that was it.
supernatural
I was just waiting for the memes. I just kept thinking like, oh, this is gonna be so memeable, right? Like, I mean, the voice. It's like you ask something for somebody and they don't give it to you, and then you just look at them and then give it to me now, and then they have to give it to you. Your tone is wrong. Yeah, you don't have the voice. So I like that. Blue Eyes, I thought was clever. The spice, all the scenes with the spice glinting on the sand, I thought it was really
Dude,
pretty.
so-
The
and
colors of this
also
movie is really really beautiful.
Something about black people with like really vibrant eyes. I was like, holy shiz, that's super mesmerizing. It reminds me of the guy from The Who from Guardians of the Galaxy. Because his eyes are so blue.
He's the guy that's who? I wish I could remember his name. I always remember it. I always say his name, but I can never remember his name.
No, but you're right, Cameron. I could not stop staring at their eyes. Like,
I know, I was like,
Yeah, really cool. Really
and it
cool.
kind of reminded me of like, because on my mission, like the natives always thought it was so cool that I had colored eyes, and so they were always like, and now I felt like that because their entire eyes
even
were
with
blue.
with these shields on, another one of my nitpicks is like, can you just blow someone up then? So like, shouldn't everything just be bombs and lasers? Because you can't do guns because apparently they stop bullets, but they don't ever stop the really. We'll call them the vibrating bullets.
I wasn't
for
talking
Grant's
about
sake.
that. I was literally talking about the tool that they use to get out of the sand. The like the sound wave thing. That, like, got them out
They
of the sand.
they call the
Pulse
sandworms.
emitter.
Yeah,
It's like a
the
drum
pulse
beat.
emitter, Grant. That's a better word than
Pulsator.
vibe.
I also my nitpick was like it reminded me of Tremors. You know,
Yes.
like Tremors meets
Yes,
Star
it
Wars
did.
just because of the big worms. I kept thinking like
Or
the
Jedi
scenes that
Academy.
stressed me
Jedi
out when they were in the
Academy, that
tent.
level.
It stressed. Yes, with the
such a stressful
freaking
level.
don't stand on the sand.
I I loved the idea, like, okay, there were a few scenes where they were running on the sand and they didn't run sporadically, and it freaked me out because a few scenes they were like, when they get out of the tent and they look at their base at this planet all blown up, I was like, they're not running sporadically. I'm like, they're going to attract a worm, but it didn't happen until later, but I was like really worried for them.
And
But,
can we just address
anyway.
how long and tedious that must effing be to just walk miles effing doing the sand dance? Are you kidding me? I would just be like, all right, we're just camping here, bro. I'm not about to do that for like 18 miles, just doing the Michael Jackson moonwalk. I'm
Yeah,
like,
Cameron's like, I'll just walk normally, and then gets eaten 3 minutes later. I'm not walking like a goon like that. You look silly. Gets eaten up by this worm. I thought that was funny. Just a few inconsistencies there. But honestly, the movie's excellent. Does anyone have any quotes from this movie? Hey, you put on a lot of muscle. I have? No. I don't really have too many other quotes. I didn't write down any.
I love the one. There was one that's like, this is an extermination. They're picking my family one by one.
Yeah.
Like that
yeah.
moment that
Great
he realized
reveal.
that he's like, oh my
Skarsgård.
gosh, like I've been betrayed.
And some commands from the what does he say? Stellar Skarsgård guy. He's like, some commands from the higher order is not always a blessing or whatever, a promotion. What does he say? He's like, this could be like them being sentenced to death or whatever. I don't remember what he said.
Are we
It's
to
not always
believe
a
that
blessing.
Josh Brolin, Goonies,
Brolin. He keeps saying Brolim. Are you saying Brolin?
Roll him.
Brolims.
Are we to believe that he like maybe got captured or something because he just was running at him, remember, for war?
Just disappeared.
And then just, yeah.
By the way, I want to see Dave Bautista and Josh Brolin fight. I'm waiting for that fight, right?
Yeah, for
They like
sure.
teased it. I'm like, oh, for sure, these two right-hand men are going to go at it. Never happened. I'm sure it'll happen in the next movie. If it doesn't, I'm going to
dude,
be very
and I
disappointed.
love
What a waste of John
Duncan's
Bautista
quote,
and
let's
Josh
fight
Brolin.
let's fight like demons. That was such a dope quote. That was in the trailer.
Demons. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I want to point out that they did the Wonder Woman cry the right way.
Yeah. It wasn't just when a woman was on screen, but they did the ancient lamentation music. It's great, dude.
Yeah,
The ancient
it's so
lamentation.
it fits so well in this movie. It's really good.
It does, because it's not just when Wonder Woman appears. It was just sporadic at moments that called for it. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. Like, I like ancient lamentation music. Who doesn't? Sounds awesome.
And I
just
thought-
funny
I thought
and
that-
laughable when it happens only when a certain character appears on screen.
I thought it was super interesting at the beginning before the movie even started. I didn't even know that it was for this movie when it said dreams are messages from the deep.
And in
I was
that
like,
super weird language.
Yeah,
That was
and I was-
so cool.
it's like,
Yeah, that
was
one
like,
guy
what
at the
the
beginning.
fuck?
That was great, dude. That was brilliant. And then all the people are being tortured. Well, all right, guys. Would you guys recommend Dune? Just to see those awesome Fireflies ships flying around? Yeah, go see it. The Dragonflies spaceships, awesome. They actually look like a good fly. Looked awesome.
yeah, it did look dope.
Would you guys recommend Dune?
Yeah, it's a great sci-fi film.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Blue eyes,
definitely
sand
recommend.
spice. Love the idea of having to kill or be killed. Desert power
Well-
keeps me safe from sandworms. Just had to say that. It's a note that I put. It doesn't make any sense, but for Latter-day Saints it does. Desert power is the power to win. Just had to get that out.
I just want to point out too, my wife is very sensitive to violence, and she really enjoyed this movie.
Well,
I
I'm
think it's good
desensitized to
for
violence,
all.
and this movie
Was
didn't
it
have enough
her-
violence in it.
What's her favorite part? The part where they were draining all those guys with the
Yeah.
blood? Like,
Kelsey was like,
she actually-
"Ooh," when saw
She
that.
probably loved the scene where Stellar Skarsgård is breathing into the vent. Like that is a great.
She just
thing.
liked how like a lot of the violence and gore was implied. It wasn't a lot of like.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely was
that's true. They
it
didn't
was
spend a lot of
Yeah,
definitely
you
a
time on
saw the
PG-13.
devastating destruction. Yeah, but I didn't mind it because Denis Villeneuve, like, again, this is a very skilled director. It's like, again, this reminded me of Dunkirk, where it's like some of the psychological violence is just more terrifying than actual violence. Like, sometimes you can take people out of the experience when you try to force it too much. This one, it's like what doesn't happen on screen can be more scary than what does happen on screen. Like getting swallowed up by a giant sandworm.
And what doesn't
like,
kill you makes you stronger.
yeah, desert power. Okay, so, guys, let's end this movie podcast. Would you guys recommend
Yes,
doing? Yes, you
for
gotta go see
sure.
this movie. Go see it in theaters. It definitely benefits from a theater watch. Don't watch this on your iPad or your phone, folks. Get up, get out your seats, and jump around. Jump up, and get down. Jump. Okay, that was Hot Chocolate.
And get
House
that,
of Pain. Everybody.
get that weird language.
That was great, dude. I love that. That was so funny.
And the bagpipes.
I actually laughed out
You
loud.
have to
I
watch
laughed
that.
out loud at a few choices that they made, like watching No Eyebrows, Polka Dot Man from the Suicide Squad. I was like, that's great. I laughed out loud when I saw him because I'm like, that's hilarious. Like he's playing a freak with no eyebrows.
Well, he's
That's
in
brilliant.
2 of Denny's films. He's in.
Yeah, he was in Prisoners. He was one of the false
Creepy
leads in
mofos,
Prisoners.
the snakes.
The snakes,
Gosh.
yep. Guys, so check out Dune. Leave us an email, futuromovies@gmail.com.
And the animal blood on the girl's skirts. Ugh.
Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Patreon. Leave us an email. Tell us a movie that you'd like us to review, futuromovies@gmail.com.
Before we go, Grant, do you
Leave
want
us
to
a
say
5-star
really
review.
quick what you've seen and what you're looking forward to
Make it quick.
Yeah.
before we go?
Well, I'm looking forward to watching it again this weekend. And then,
Yeah, let's go see Dune again. Let's do it.
Let's see. Most recently, yeah, Ocean's 11. But I said that last time, so I don't think I've seen anything
Grant's
since
gonna
then.
watch Ex Machina.
Too many video games.
Too many video
Grant's
games.
gonna watch Ex Machina.
games. I need to watch Squid Game.
You haven't seen it yet?
No,
Dude, Grant, you're
it
gonna
was
love
fun.
it.
I have like no time now that I'm like working 8 hours
Do you know?
a day.
So I watched the first 2 episodes with Kelsey. And you know what she said afterwards? She's like, I just had this like dark feeling going to bed.
You're like, I have that effect on people.
I was like, yeah, maybe we should watch it more with you.
That's funny.
Okay, everybody, peace.
Future Hit Movie Gems signing out. Desert Power.
Atreides.
Atreides.